Alright, testing, testing, testing. Well, I'm gonna start off here. Like, I know the title said, oh my god, like Emer0, level 9999. But I'm gonna be yapping a lot about what I think about Warframe and what my opinion is on Warframe and stuff like this. So I thought I would do opposite to what everyone else does in this game and start showing off the build. So I decided to run Zephyr, mainly because it's my favorite frame. I genuinely believe that you can do this on Emer0 on any frame. It's kind of irrelevant. The only relevant mods I have here is Catalyzing Shields, Vigilante Vigor, Fast Deflection. They save me a few times, but they're not perfect. Shield gating would be a lot better than this. I am just too lazy to shield gate. That's another reason why I'm playing Zephyr. Vigorous Swap is probably the most important mod on this build, as well as corrosive projection. The rest is just quality of life. I mean, equilibrium. You can't really go without it either, but you can put these on any frame, and it's gonna be fine. Arcane Precision and Fury is also pretty important. They're not maxed, because again, I'm Mastery rank 0, and it is pretty annoying to get Arcanes when you're not able to trade with anyone or anything. Secondly, I've chosen the Perigale here. I know that the names are pretty funny. That's because I found it funny. That's why I renamed them. The Perigale, I will not be using this during the run, but this is able to level cap as well. It's just a normal primary acuity build. It's not anything crazy. With Deadhead, I used Serration here just for some base damage because I didn't know what to put. I think I didn't know what mod to put there, and I don't like using faction mods, so I just put it there to give me some base damage. Yeah, that's that build. The Aki core is probably the most important build. The main thing I have on here is heat and corrosive, because I don't have corrosive on my Sentinel, so I need it for priming. So it goes on my Aki core. This Aki core is also definitely able to kill Levelcap by itself, especially with the Fortifier Arcane. You just gotta, well, maybe not Grenier, but Corpus and Thraxus and whatever, you pop the overshield or you pop the shield, and then you get a giant electric proc from the magnetic, and it'll just kill whatever you have off. This is my choice for killing the Thrax. It's an Exodia Contagion build with melee crescendo on it. It's not super crazy. If you care about the parts, here's the parts. Probably the most important thing out of the entire build is this little Deriga here. Nautilus would probably be possible to use as well, but I use a funny little here interaction with Arc Coil. Here's the full build. I use a funny little interaction with Arc Coil and the Arthrax with Shivering Contagion on it, where it on cold status effect, 100% chance to spread that status to other enemies within 6 meters, which means that most enemies are going to be frozen when I run around, which is really nice. Here again, some priming options, or some nice little priming on this weapon too. Yeah, that's kind of it for the builds, the way I play this. Also, shout out to Mr. Sato for letting me use the Simulacrum. Obviously, as MR0, my Simulacrum is pretty weak. I perma have Turbulence on just because it helps me not get absolutely shit on. As you see here, once my little primer friend comes along, everything gets turned into snow and ice. Cold here. So, and with my Hockey Core, I prime Corrosive on them. Hockey Core can also kill these guys no problem, but that's not the star of the show that I used to kill the Thrax. It is my Exodia Contagion, which you can see here. My damage numbers at 9.7 million, 4 million. Let's armor strip this guy. 30 million. As you can see, it hits pretty hard. If I'm not lazy and I full armor strip them, it's for about 24 million. A Thrax has, with Overguard and with everything, about 25 million HP. So this will be more than enough than to kill, well, anything that you would need. So that's the build that I used. I'm not gonna, well, I'm gonna talk about it later too, but I'm not gonna talk too much about how I got these weapons. But I'm gonna give my reasons for that in a bit later in the video if you're actually curious. The most straightforward one is the saw, because it has no MR requirements, but both the Aki core and the Pearl Gate require you to do some silly shenanigans, aka spending money. But yeah, that's about it. I'll cut to some gameplay and I'm gonna talk some more interesting stuff just now. Also, again, big shout out to the sky. Alright, so we're now in game. I'm talking over this, so this is not what I'm playing, and I'm watching my gameplay while I play. It's actually pretty funny because around, I think, level 2000 I ended up dying, so I actually don't have the melee crescendo built up at the moment, but as you guys can see, it doesn't really matter too much. It makes it a little scuffed, but like here, for example, like if you miss the head, you won't kill them. If I had the crescendo buff, it wouldn't really have mattered. But as you can see, it doesn't really matter that I'm not a high MR. These guys don't stand a chance either way. Obviously, this is not on Steel Path because unfortunately you cannot get Steel Path at the moment on a Mastery Rank 0 account. And that brings me to what I want to talk about now, as the gameplay goes on in the background, right? Which is why I made this account in the first place. So obviously this is not my first account on Warframe. I have an account, I have two other accounts actually. One which is my main account where I try hard things. I've done basically everything solo that you can do in this game. Profit Taker, Eidolons, 6x3s, sub 1 minute Profit Taker, like all of these things. And not sub 1 minute, I think the PB is like 1 minute something, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But all of the somewhat difficult stuff I've completed, as well as all of the new bosses, right? The Effervent Tank, the 60 Eyes, all of these I've done solo. My Furious build, there's the damage calculator, you can go online. And here you can see me struggling a bit, by the way, because my Derrick ended up dying. But I think I'll be able to kill these guys off eventually with some patience. So even without the priming, you can still kill max level Thraxes with no priming. Also, obviously, oh, I forgot to show that. The Amp strangles a little bit, but that's because obviously you don't have any. You can't use the focus schools because they're actually locked to Mastery Rank 1. But yeah, anyway, enough yapping. I'm gonna get to the point of why I made this account. So I just got bored of the game, right? There's so much I have done. I think I have 4,000 hours total. There's a lot of things I have done. There's a lot of things I wanted to do. So I wanted the challenge, and I think the greatest challenge with Mastery Rank 0 is you're not able to trade with other players. So you need to do your research and get every single item that you want for your build, every single mod, every single piece of endo, every single prime part, every single thing, right? You need to acquire yourself, which makes this a long-term project. I've had this account for quite a long time. I think it has about 200 hours of in-game time or something like this, but a lot more than that just researching and theory crafting and figuring things out myself. There has been some significant upgrades to Mastery Rank 0. For example, Arbitrations, which introduced Galvanize mods and allowed you to make a lot better builds, which in hindsight is probably the thing that allowed me to do this run in the first place. And I think it would have been possible with the Saw and the Contagion, but it just makes it a million times easier, especially now with the Occupor being able to be used, right? Um, then to my second point, right, is I think for people who are starting to get bored with this game, I would highly recommend making an MR0 account, because it kind of brought the joy of starting Warframe over for me. And you don't need to bother with platinum, you don't need to bother with trading, you don't need to bother with a lot of things. Obviously, you can spend money to bypass certain MR requirements. If you buy a bundle, or if you gift yourself a bundle, or if you have someone, that's what I did. I had friends gifting me bundles with weapons in them, for example, the Occupor. You can actually bypass the MR requirements. But either way, the reason why this was so fun to me is because it was discovery. There's no documented way on how to properly play MR0. Most of the build guides will not work. You cannot access augment mods, you cannot access this, you cannot access that. There's a small community of MR0 players that will help you out, but the great thing for me was being able to go in and not know anything, and nobody else know anything either. Because I think what makes Warframe boring for me is the 5 million guide. It's funny because I'm making a guide, but I'm gonna get to that. The 5 million guides on how the game should be played and how to min-max everything in the game, which makes it so I feel required to use said builds. And I think I did a calculation on my main, the Furious build I'm using does, I think mathematically, it does 60 billion damage per second. And level cap enemies have about 25 million health. So you can see how that kind of becomes a problem. So that's also why I won't be telling you guys how I got to this point on my MR0 account. I kind of just wanted to make this video as motivation. Also, well, I used the Predator there to kill this guy because I was getting a bit annoyed. But because I believe that if you make an MR0 account, you should make it for yourself, and you should make it at your own pace, and you should let you should struggle. Like that's the point. That's the fun with Warframe, at least for me. Taking on challenges, struggling, trying to make a build, trying to make a this, trying to make a that. Like you might not have certain mods, you might not want to farm for certain mods, because I think certain mods here that I'm using took me several hours to farm up on my own. So your builds will be very specific to you and very specific to your playstyle. I chose Zephyr because it's my favorite frame. That doesn't mean that it's the best frame. It doesn't mean that it's the worst frame either, and it doesn't definitely not mean that that's the frame that you should be using if you make a MR0 account. Use whatever you enjoy, use the weapons you enjoy, and the playstyle you enjoy, right? And with no real guides on how to get here and how to get anywhere, you're gonna have to do your own testing. Here I'm struggling stacking my hockey core because I lost the stacks because I reloaded like an idiot. Yeah, I truly believe that any veteran should have a second MR0 account, because it just brings the life back into the game. The accomplishments I've completed on MR0 so far is a sub 3 minute Profit Taker run, a 6x3 solo Eidolon hunt, and now Void Cascade, and I have done Demolition Levelcap as well. That is the main accomplishments I've done. What I'm aiming for next is to have every single mod possible that I can get my hands on. There's a few mods that you're not able to get because, for example, you can't get syndicates, so a lot of augment mods are inaccessible. But every single mod that I can get, I want to try and get. And I also want to try and get a complete codex, so have every single boss, monster, mob scanned into my codex. That's gonna take quite a while for me to accomplish. But anyway, that's my goals, and it leads me kind of to the third. My third point is, and this is kind of a wish for the developers, because the game has a lot of MI restrictions and ways to stop you uh, from getting further. You can't get into steel path. You can't start bounties by yourself. You can't do focus schools. You can't do this and that. And I think it makes sense, but I would love them to add an official Iron Man. Like some games have Iron Man accounts and stuff like this, Iron Man profiles. I would love if Warframe took the time to add this to the game. I think it would bring back the love the game has for a lot of people, um, because it forces you to think. It forces you to. You can't get carried by everything, especially if you can't trade. Another thing I had as an idea is randomize drop locations. So certain mobs, certain mods, and certain resources they will not drop where they normally do. Um, so guides and tutorials online how to acquire stuff will not work. So everyone has their own individual way of acquiring things, and I think that would be really interesting. Because lore-wise, there's no reason why, for example, you get Rhino from this boss and Atlas from that boss, or this mod from there or that mod from there, right? So you can kind of swap those around and let people explore how to acquire certain things, right? And I think it would be bring a lot of interesting dynamics into the game. But implementing this would obviously be a bit tough. But my wish for the developers is to add some type of official way to play the game in a type of Iron Man mode, where you're not able to trade with others. You can still play with them if you need it, but no trading, none of that, because it kind of ruins the game. I think tutorials is what ruins the game for me the most. And again, it's hypocritical because I'm making a guide on how to do level cap, but this is also a very late game MR zero guide, right? So it's kind of to bring motivation to players and show what is possible, um, and what you can achieve. Um, Here, I've decided to finish my level cap run, and I will just be killing some enemies, showing off that yes, you can indeed kill almost any type of enemy if you put your head to it. No matter your mastery rank, no matter your weapons, no matter, well, your weapons do matter, and your combination, your builds, and everything like this do matter. But if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish basically anything in this game. Which also, I guess, brings up a balancing issue, but I don't think that's the biggest problem with Warframe. I think the biggest problem with Warframe is that it's solved, and it the community doesn't allow for creativity. You go into a mission arbitration with a non-meta build, and people will absolutely shit their pants, bro. Like, it's the worst thing I've seen. And yes, you do want to get 10% more resources from what you're doing when you're grinding for 2 hours. I completely get that. But it's also to a point where there is no other option. Like, okay, I can go solo arbitration, but that's kind of not what I want. I want to do my thing. I want to test my builds. I want to, you know, um, and MR0 has brought this perfectly to me. So I think adding something like this as an option to the game itself, where I don't have to restrict myself ranking up, but instead there is a Iron Man version or a randomizer version of the game, would be a lot of fun. I'd also love to be able to get into Steel Path, but it makes complete sense to me why I wouldn't be able to. I just do wish that they keep doing the thing they've done, where none of the stories module rank locked, except the lock protocol and these side missions, which also do make sense. Um, but I do wish to keep progressing in the story and progressing with the general player base now when they're releasing Tau and they're releasing whatever. Um, Here I'm just showing proof of the builds that I used and everything that I used that I talked about before in the game. So that is actually what I used. I also proved that I'm on solo. I proved that this is my Master Zero account, and there's no bullshit going on here. Um, if you have any questions about these things, feel free to ask in in the comments. I'll maybe respond to them, maybe not. It depends how I'm feeling, what my motivation is. Um, but that's that. So now you know it is indeed possible to finish level cap on a Mastery Zero account. And I wish you good luck if you gain motivation and you decide to start your own Mastery Zero account because of this. So I'll see you guys around.